Alright guys, welcome.
Hey, how you doing? How's everybody doing?
This is another week of Fire Live Roundtable where we discuss financial freedom and real estate. Z, what did we talk about last time?
Last time we covered some wholesaling, how to create buyers lists, a little bit about contracts. We're going to do an overview of the whole wholesaling towards the end, and we're going to go over specifically more about contracts and how to get paid when you're doing a wholesaling deal.
Cool. How was everybody's week?
Good so far. My week, to be honest, my week flew by. It's Sunday already again. With this whole Corona thing, I'm feeling like I just had yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So I don't know about y'all out there, but that's how I feel on this end. What about you guys?
Derek, how was your week?
Man, I had a great week. Learned a lot, grew a lot. I couldn't ask for anything more. As long as I'm growing, constantly learning. Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah, I had a productive week myself.
Absolutely, me too. And, when we talked about having a meaningful conversation, I definitely had a couple of those this week. Again, we want to keep pushing that, have those meaningful conversations with people. You can learn from people or people can learn from you.
Yeah,
True.
Absolutely.
True.
All
So,
right.
first 15 minutes for our weekly, current events. So, any current events you guys want to, throw in the topic, throw in the chat, let us know. Did y'all see the current event this time?
Yeah, the stimulus package.
Stimulus package.
Everybody is hoping that a wish list gets granted. What they giving another $1,200, wiping $10,000 student debt, giving you a house, giving you a car. We using kid you at your Christmas list, man. I'm like, that's how they treating this thing. I'm just trying to find out.
Handicap a lot of folks.
So they just keep printing out these trillions of dollars.
How much was it?
Well, they didn't get passed, but they asked for $3 trillion.
$3 trillion.
Just print it out, right?
Just
print
print
it
it
out.
out. And they gonna pay. That's all it is, y'all.
Kids got to pay for it later, yeah.
Somebody gonna pay for it.
Speaking about just being paper, I'm going to log you in. Speaking about just being paper, like I said, if you have any events that you want to talk about, definitely shoot them over to them. We'll try to cover them.
Yep.
But one thing that we do want to discuss, because we talked about before, gold, right? So I just read an article on one of the currency markets, Kitco. Like I said, that's what I follow mostly. KITCO. Not just a plugin, but it just has a lot of useful information. I think Derek has one that he uses as well. Which one do you use, Derek?
I'm not using the NT4 app, but it's short-term goals, nothing like physical.
Okay. Okay. So this pertains mostly to all the markets, foreign, gold, silver, stocks, housing, everything. That's why I like to use it. It pretty much covers everything. But back to what I was saying, I read an article about gold that they say it's going to, the numbers are just going to skyrocket now. As you saw, if you followed it, it went up, like $60 this week. And they said once it hits that 1775 mark, then it's just going to keep expediting every month. And for the next 6-12 months, it's going to double, they're saying all the way up to like 3,500, maybe even 4,000. So we did cover that before, so that's a good investment. But what a lot of people will sleep on is the silver, right? Silver is you're going to make more money in silver. First of all, you're under $20, you can get an ounce of silver, right? Any gold and silver shop, precious metal shop, coin shop, they sell silver. American Eagles is really what you want to buy. That's one of the ones that across the world, if you have an American Eagle, they know its value, it's not fake, And then, so why, and we'll talk about, open it up for discussion. We know why is silver increasing. First of all, it is a currency, a form of money. So people don't use it that way, but it is a form of money. That's how they used to make money out of silver. And that's why you have, let me give you a little background education. The reason why when you have a gold and silver coin, or even like you have a dime, they have little notches on the ends, on the outside of the coin, they have little notches. So the reason why they started doing those notches is because back in the day, what they did is if you had an ounce of silver or an ounce of gold, they would take it and shave off the edges. So when you bought it, you weren't really getting an ounce, right? They would keep shaving it. Like you sold to one person, the next person would shave it, and they would shave it. So if you had 100 coins and you shaved it, you create another ounce for yourself. When you're selling it to somebody else, you don't have an ounce anymore. And that's where those little notches came from. When you have those notches in there, you can't shave it because if it's smooth, somebody knows you just shaved it. So just a little background about it.
I just learned that right there, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie.
That's a nice little.
I ain't know nothing. I was one of those people. He said some people sleep on silver. I was the one he was talking about sleep. Night.
And I think Derek was mentioning earlier, why is silver so, or those that use it, why is the silver so important? Go ahead and break it down for me a little bit.
Well, it is a good conductor for electricity, And the way we're going now, everything's going electric. So even when it comes to Tesla, even when it comes to our cars, even when it comes to a whole bunch of stuff that depends on our future, it's going electric.
Yeah, honestly, guys. So just check it out. Look it up. Silver is the best conductor for electricity, just overall, better than gold, better than copper, better than anything. So you really start putting that into perspective. Like what Jim was kind of just saying. If any company that wants to do anything electric, well, the best form of electricity is going to be silver. So think about it. There's more demand for silver now. Price is just going to skyrocket over time. So just really put that in perspective, guys. Like I know Aziz was saying right now that think about it. If the demand of silver goes up, and let's say that the price of silver doubles, it's not going to happen with the price of gold. Gold is not going to go from 1750 to 3,500-ish or so. You know what I'm saying? But silver will go from where it's at now up to double or even triple, no problem. Just check it out. So silver, you check it out whether you look it up online or if like on the currency page it's called XAG USD. And guys, really take a look at it. It's definitely something you want to look into.
Absolutely. And what people don't know, a little more education. These things right here, iPads, computers, phones. What do you think they use in there? It's silver. So as we say, this world we're into now, everybody's going to be on more devices, more cell phones. They're going to create new devices. There's going to be somebody that's going to create a new technology, a new device to communicate with people, and how they're going to be able to manufacture that. They need silver. You have to have silver.
Right.
So, and that's why they recycle phones for the silver.
Right. Stay ahead of that trend. Stay ahead of that wave, guys. Catch it while it's hot.
Anything else going on this week?
What else did you guys want to cover?
I don't see nothing else going on in the news.
Besides the trillion, we talked about last time how the SBA wasn't really helping a whole lot of people as far as small businesses were concerned. People were afraid of how to pay them back. What the payback was going to be because those terms aren't really defined. But so the good thing about that is that a lot of people stop applying. So if you need the money or you have the credentials as far as good credit, you have established business, you can apply now because they have money. They have money now. In the beginning, they gave all the money to big people. They ran out of money really fast. Now they got money sitting. They trying to find people that want to apply for the program. So that's a good thing.
Speaking of, did we have a situation where they gave out some money to an individual and they just spent it?
Oh, they were talking about that. The guy from Love and Hip Hop. Yeah, he got $2 million and he didn't spend it on none of his trucking business. He spent it on jewelry, leasing the Rolls Royce, paying back child support.
So don't do that.
Don't do that.
Right.
And now he's in jail.
Okay.
Right. So
Smart money.
don't do that. But yeah, that's funny.
Irresponsible way to handle that.
Right. Any other topics that coming in that people want to cover?
No, I don't have.
I kind of got a question out there for people. When we was talking earlier, we were saying how many, I think it's your circle that you're in. But do you guys feel like people are using this time wisely and using this money to take advantage of growing their businesses, or do you feel like people are actually not taking advantage of this time and really are underestimating this coronavirus and not taking it as serious as what it really is?
If I may partake in that, Courtney, just kind of like, if anybody else has something, make sure you get on the chat and we can go from there. But at least for it just depends on the circle you're hanging around with, right, guys? So, like, you got to surround yourself with good people. So think about it. Everybody at this table, I'm 100% sure has invested that stimulus check into something to further them, to make them better, whether it be in their business, et cetera, et cetera. But, just telling you guys straight up, if your people are going out there and renting Bentleys or whatever the car was that he said, or just spending something that's never ever going to make the money, like at that point, really kind of like take your moment back and be like, what should I be doing? Just because at that point, if your circle's doing that, doesn't mean you have to be doing that. At the end of the day, there's plenty of circles out there that you can go belong to. I mean, hey, just reach out to one of us. Who knows how we may be able to benefit each other, right? But going back to it, like, it's just really about who you keep around you. You got to make sure that you keep a positive vibe. Besides the vibes, just the mentality, just the people with the ideas. Because I may have an idea, and what Z was just saying about silver, I was like, oh yeah, I kind of threw it in there. I was like, oh, it's one of the best conductors. And think about it, boom, now we have another reason why it's going to go up with networking. You know what I'm saying? We're growing with that. I know with Jay, he had some things on that too. So guys, like, really think about it. I'm not sure I haven't really kept up with the stimulus checks because I'm not really too worried about that. But if they provide another one, if you wasted the first one, the second one, invest into something, or invest into some time, some books, develop some disciplines to go out there and become better, to become great. Because like honestly, guys, it's just there's so much information at the palm of our fingers, for us not to just grow and become better. So it's a little bit of that.
Yeah. We won't tell anybody not to hang around people or but if you want to limit yourself.
You want to grow. They say you need to be one of the weakest in your chain. That way you'll always continue.
One thing I did hear is the 33% law is how you spend your time. So 33% of your time is with a mentor or somebody you look up to. 33% of your time is with somebody that has the like-minded individuals around you. And the last 33% is just, usually people that doesn't really have that effect. But if you distribute your time like that, you're moving in the right direction automatically. So
I'm learning a lot today. I'm not gonna lie. I've heard that before,
and that's why we want to get on with each other. You know what I mean? Even as just sitting here, again, we say it's a round table, right? And what are we doing? We're providing education, whether it's building wealth, but most of our focus is geared towards real estate. But we also try to throw in other things that people may not be 100% down with real estate or be able to get in right now, but you can still learn how to create, a base so you can get into real estate later. Create some financial intelligence and things like that. So, we're going to continue to do that. Right now it's at a value. Watch soon. We're going to have some merchandise for y'all, some good stuff.
Yeah. I hope nobody really did spend that money, that stimulus money this quick already. Because unless you had to, I hope you didn't just blow it on buying, finish that wish list for Amazon. I hope you did. Jeff Bezos already about to get $1 trillion. So when you you probably got $1 million. So you know what I'm saying? Again, let's not contribute to somebody else's dream. Let's start our own.
Right. Let's build our own. If you're not building your own, you're building somebody else's.
That's it. And that Jeff, how y'all feel about that? I'm gonna ask y'all that right now, because that's another discussion. I went on the shade room and they were saying some people said something about it just don't sit right with me. Man, having $1 trillion. Like my cousin said that to me, and I was like, I can see that at first, but we all got the same 24 hours in a day. You know what I'm saying? Like, he started this in the 90s, so it's not like it happened overnight.
Right.
It's 30 years in the game, but I mean, how do you guys feel? That's all I want to know. How y'all feel about it?
One thing that comes to me is monopoly.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to put it that way. How the CDC, they don't let certain companies merge. Like I know from back then, T-Mobile and Sprint originally didn't merge, or AT&T and T-Mobile didn't merge originally.
But now they just did.
Because now they did, right? They did because they're both going bankrupt.
Yeah, that's
they're both losing money, but they didn't have to merge back in the day. United and Continental, they got held up by the CDC for so long before they merged because of that. So you start thinking about it, guys. Like you start getting all your food products. What can't you get from Amazon?
And Amazon bought Whole Foods just for the whole purpose to start selling food via delivery. Yeah.
So that just makes me think. I'm not saying that's what it is, but I mean, isn't that supposed to be isn't that against what this is supposed to be just in general? So I'm not saying anything in a bad way, good way, whatever. I just make sure that's the one thing that comes up to my head.
So do you feel like? I don't feel like it's a monopoly though. I feel like his model, unfortunately, people couldn't keep up with that online platform.
Let me ask this though, because this is what I do. Because I like to see both sides of each coin. You know what I'm saying? I like to see the bad side and I like to see the good side. So if it is, but at the end of the day, he's making money by helping other people make money. Because think about it, he doesn't own another product. Mm-hmm. He doesn't own.
Exactly.
In my case, he doesn't own. So you kind of think about it. Does he? He's so guys, going back into why we're doing this in the first place. We want to teach people things so you can go out there and do it yourselves, and become great. So my thing is, he's helping people build wealth. He's helping people, become better versions of themselves. He's helping people, invest into other businesses too. So you really kind of think about it, guys. He's making himself great and getting what he's getting because he's helped other people get what they want to get.
But what I'm saying is, how does the CDC, what does he monopolize though? What did he do to quote unquote cause a monopoly?
Online marketplace. I mean, if you think about
marketplace,
but that was available to anybody.
Well,
the online market,
right? That's
you know what I'm saying? It's not like
he's taking over the delivery business. Yeah. Like he's taking over the delivery business.
But it's not like AT&T and the Sprint mergers, or
Yeah,
it's not like that. You know what I'm saying? It's not.
No,
What
it's
what
not
is
the
it
same
doing?
category.
He's just this model is just collapsing. It's causing other businesses to fold.
That's what.
Yeah, and that's what it's doing. And it's monopolizing
But now,
just
is
by
But
itself.
is that his fault?
That's
Was that
not his
the other
fault.
business's
It's not his
fault?
fault.
But not, so,
Right.
so my question starting out was: why are people mad that this man is getting $1 trillion? Is it
I'm not
his
mad.
fault?
I'm not
No,
mad at you.
but a lot of people under the comments, they was like, I'm some just like I said, so they just feel some type of way for a man to get $1 trillion. Again, his model, I cannot be mad. People just did not keep up, including Walmart. Walmart was one of those companies that should have started their supply chain and the way that they hold and buy. They should have did that a lot sooner. Right now, Walmart sells Jordans. Walmart sells a lot of stuff that they should have sold
Technically,
prior, way before.
technically, Walmart doesn't sell that. Walmart
Exactly. It's the
Walmart just holds
That's
it.
from
and
like
then
Amazon.
Like a fee, yeah, it's
Like Amazon, they should have moved to that platform sooner, and then they would have been able to keep up with Amazon.
The thing with Walmart would have been very hard to kind of keep up with it from what I'm looking for. Because if you look at Amazon's going to the centralized places and building the distribution centers, right?
Yeah.
Walmart's their strategy, and the reason why they were able to profit so much, because they would buy random land where, and this is all my research papers since 7th grade have always been about Walmart, right? So I just kind of build on top of it through my life, right? So Walmart has always had the distribution centers in middle of Texas nowhere. That's 12 hours away from Houston, 8 hours away from Dallas, 8 hours away from Oklahoma, 8 hours away from New Mexico. Within the 24-hour radius, that way, if you're missing a product, they have it the next day.
So they already have
I just feel like,
infrastructure though.
but Amazon has it in New York City, in Houston, Texas, where they can access them that same
So
day.
this is the thing. Walmart had that set up first.
They could have done it.
They could have done it.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? They were late to the game.
They were brick and mortar.
They didn't
see
see
that
it.
technology
They didn't see it. Whereas
Yeah.
Amazon, because Walmart, that's supply chain. That's all that is, supply chain. They realized how to not hold inventory in the housing for so long. Because the more you hold inventory, that's money. So
Yeah.
if I could just get you your inventory quicker, and have the distribution center, like you said, in Houston, in the middle of nowhere. But Amazon said, "Damn, if I can do this times 10, that's all Walmart had to do was just build more closer to the
cities.
In cities, yeah. That's all they had to do. They had the model.
Their current infrastructure wouldn't work.
No, they just had to maximize.
Yeah, they just had to go into like for example, Amazon just bought that center in Greens Point, right close to my area. You know, they bought that big old area. Walmart would have came in there and potentially bought that out, but they just didn't have.
They didn't have it. They wasn't thinking.
They didn't adapt.
They didn't adapt. Just like JCPenney didn't adapt. Just like JCPenney about to go bankrupt. Just like who else didn't adapt? Neiman Marcus, Saks Fifth. I think her Neiman Marcus is about to merge with. These people who at the top, they're too old-minded. Again, the people who run these corporations, they go from corporation to corporation, but they're not forward-thinking.
Yeah.
So it's back to the Amazon piece. So a lot of that's happening is because of Amazon. Right.
Right.
So what they're doing, and
The
that's
pressure.
the pressure. Yeah. We're talking about monopolizing, right? So if they have this big platform now that pretty much everybody got to go through them, right? So then they can start basically making the prices where I can price these people out like Walmart did. You know, whatever. I go in the grocery store, if they're charging 99 cents, I'm gonna charge 98 cents. That was Walmart's model, right?
Right, that's
It's Amazon's model. So
Can nobody beat Amazon prices?
can't nobody need it, right? So that is technically a monopoly. I'm not
Convenience.
Right.
Convenience. Like,
Convenience.
it gets delivered to your door. You don't have
But
to.
at the end of the day,
have
they
to-
will walk, now they're so big, they can technically lose money on certain stuff and still win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like on certain products.
That's right.
You
Small
know,
business
but
can't.
small businesses can't. So you feel something like a Lysol or something like that, they can technically sell it they can sell it and lose money on this one product, but they still have so much other money and forth, they will still be forever lasting.
That's a marketing scheme in there.
It's a marketing.
Like, that is because
I'm not mad at it.
What? No, at all. Like I'm not saying like scheme in a bad way, but I know like whenever you know back in the day you used to get those magazines from Food Town or like whatever grocery store or whatever. Everything that they were in there, they were selling at a cheaper price because they knew whenever you walked in the doors, you were going to get those items and go out there and get everything else that was super expensive, right? Regular price. That way they can make you money on that side. Because they have those, because if my parents, we used to have a little grocery store at a point, and we used to get the tomatoes at a certain price, and we would buy or get a one free type deal. But this was what the distributors would tell us to do, So they would give us that, and we would sell it very, very, very cheap. But the meat was a little over, the price a little higher. Everything was also priced a little higher, so at the end of the tab ended up, because think about it, if you buy tomatoes, you have to buy something to go with tomatoes. It's
Right.
just not gonna be tomato, you know.
Yeah, that's a real big game.
tomato
That's a
soup.
whole different game.
Yeah.
That's
So that point, it just kind of like that's what they did. Walmart was like, hey, we got this. We're gonna lose $100,000 on this, but we're gonna sell you everything else. And we're gonna make $1 million. You know what I'm saying? Now we're up $900,000.
Right. Good model.
Right.
I'm not, but
Amazon same thing. Sorry.
But that's what I was saying. Just going, because that's going into more the groceries, but Walmart definitely, if anybody could have kept up with them, Walmart had the manpower, the money.
and they still might.
I think it's too late.
I think it's too late. It's way too late because they just
Amazon,
they're way ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
And check this out. This is what's amazing to me. Walmart has closed down. There's 2 Walmarts from my house that closed down. Well, not too close, but they're relatively
I've
close.
never seen a Walmart
Now,
close.
Right.
they closed down, and it's Amazon distribution center.
Wow.
So guess what? Checkmate. Like you closed your spot down because of me.
I remember
and
that.
Boom.
I remember I met a guy. He said he only builds where Walmarts are. He only invests in houses where there are Walmarts. And I said, why? He said, you never seen a Walmart shut down? Because he said he figured that they've done their research.
Absolutely.
And now I'm thinking like, wow, now I'm hearing this first. This I heard this 5 years ago when I lived in Dallas, and now I still believe that model is true. But you can't. Eventually you're gonna have to stop following Walmart and maybe start. You know what I'm saying? You have to always stay up in the head. Because if I'm still following Walmart now, Walmart's getting shut down. I don't even follow Walmart no more. I might even start following Amazon.
Right.
Where's the Amazon distribution centers being built? Because I know clearly that's where money is going to be. Because again, this is about real estate. So that about to switch topics a little bit, but just talking about real estate. If you do follow a bigger company that put the manpower and the work in and paid somebody thousands of dollars of salary just for them to know the numbers, for the survey, the statistics for the next 10 years, follow that. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make, don't create the new wheel.
Yeah.
And in those areas.
And in those areas,
States or
those states,
counties or whatever.
That's a part of your market research.
Yeah.
Iowa is one of the places that's growing fast.
Iowa?
Yes.
Okay.
What's the Des Moines? What's that?
Des
Moines.
Iowa.
That is one of the fastest growing cities in America right now.
Mm.
And I'm like, why? A lot of big franchise plants are moving out there. So now, as a real estate investor or developer, what should I be thinking? Well, I'm sure how much land is out there.
Mm.
So I'm thinking, what is rent going for out there right now?
Mm-hmm.
How much is it going to cost? Because if I know that that's a market that's going to grow for the next 10, 20 years, as if we're calling ourselves real estate investors, people listening, you want to make sure that you are up in the news of where the trend is going and follow the big corporations. You see, that's all I was going to say. Follow wherever the big corporations go, you should try to follow because money's around you. They're not going there for no reason.
And that's why, like, going back to the like-mindedness of everything, guys, it's so important. Because think about it. In this conversation, I just had a few breakthroughs in regards to real estate and why things are going to move in certain directions in that Queens Point area. Coca-Cola, nobody's ever going to take, Warren Buffett never takes somebody out of Coca-Cola, right? They just built a big distribution center in Greens Point. Amazon, they just built a big distribution center in Greens Point. So now you think about it, guess what's going to happen to the Greens Point area? Yeah. It's going to shoot up just like crazy because those distribution centers need people to work there. You know what I'm saying? They need people to physically come and work there. So that makes the real estate in that whole area. So now I'm thinking, I'm like, whoa, the property in my house went up pretty substantial this year. You know what I'm saying? Everything in that area, that zip code where like the land network, because that's basically where I grew up, right? Has really, really got skyrocketed. And I'm thinking about, like, that's crazy. Amazon's there. A whole bunch of other electric companies move in there. Electric companies, that's never going to go away. Amazon and then Coca-Cola. Yeah. That's
Stop saving your money because next year people. That tax, everybody's tax is gonna go up next year.
Everybody's property tax.
Everybody property tax. Every time one of those big corporations come to your neighborhood, you can expect a larger bill next year. And with this Corona thing, people ain't gonna be able to afford that. So next year, hey, Derek, we might need to be looking in Greensboro.
Hey man,
right. And just on that, before we transition to another topic, so when we just to wrap up that little whole Amazon Walmart talk, so. If you know, right, they said AT&T and T-Mobile couldn't merge before because they were creating a monopoly. The government blocked them. Nobody's saying anything about Amazon, right? Right or wrong, you can't block one company and then let another company just do what he wants to do, right? But what does that mean? Like I said last week, there is an attack on small business. And not an attack like, we're trying to just put you out of business, but in a sense, they're trying to put you at.
It's too many. It's too many small businesses.
You know what I mean? Right. So they want to be like, well, we got this one big business. If you want to thrive, you got to come through us.
And that's what Amazon giving. They giving $10,000 if you quit your, like start a trucking company or something. They're giving people money to start small businesses. Yeah, they're giving people money for small businesses. But what you just said, you have to go up under Amazon. So you're really not you're a contractor, really.
Exactly.
Really, they're telling you a small business, but really you're a 1099 employee, just like a barber who has to pay a barbershop fee to the owner. You know what I'm saying?
And all that's trickle down. So these other small businesses are either going to fail, they're going to go out of business, which was that employment. You know, all these things. This is what you have. This is why we had this conversation to open your mind. Oh, I have a good company. I work for a great company. Look at the signs. You know, these sort of things are starting to change. Right? It's not going to be. You know, it's going to be a few companies and scarce jobs to work within those companies or contracting for those companies and things like that. And I'm not going to say small business is going to be completely dead, but it's definitely going to be a huge decline in small businesses over the next year or so.
Yeah, I could see that.
Especially it's so convenient, you know, it just comes to your doorstep, you don't have to go to Walmart. And now with this whole situation, nobody wants to go
after this corona thing, first of all, I already stopped going to Walmart just before this, but now I'm definitely not going to Walmart. You know, like definitely for sure. And the way Amazon's getting, you get your stuff in a couple of hours, depending on what it is.
I got AC in my kid arriving tomorrow, and I ordered it yesterday.
See?
You know, and
I can wait a day.
Go to Walmart, 20, 30 minutes out of my day that I'm gonna get lost in there buying other things. You know what I'm saying? And straight to the point.
You you're gonna buy something else. You go to Walmart, you know.
So we'll transition into the wholesaling piece of it now. But again, just like they were saying, you know, you gotta look at those markets, those trends, where the company's going. We talked about Mexico. That's gonna be a good investment area. Oh, if you get into Mexico, dirt cheap. You want to add something?
Yeah. I was talking to my father-in-law yesterday.
Africa for sure.
Africa, you guys. We're gonna have to have one class. I bring on a guest, and Africa has. You talking about resources? Mm-hmm. Africa, he said, it's 25 feet deep of just soil, nothing but soil and resources, and all of just West Africa. He said by 2035 we're gonna have 1 billion people in West Africa. Right now it's 725 million. Yeah. So. You know, those again. He's a real estate developer. Again, like I was telling my wife, I said, people like that, they can spit those numbers off their head. Yeah. Because if you're a real estate investor, you need to know those statistics. I need to know what the population is going to be like for the next 10 to 15 years in certain areas. Because that, as again, if you're calling yourself a real estate investor, this is critical to your plan. You know, to your development. So, but yeah, Africa, we're gonna have to have. Oh yeah. Cassandra said, "Please touch it." Oh yeah, my father-in-law is from Liberia, so he's I see he has some stuff where he talked trillions of dollars, like numbers that too many numbers. He said, "Don't be scared. That's just numbers. You know, $1,500 is the same as 100. That's right. That's what he told me. He said, do not be scared. It's just a bigger number." But he got it on paper with certain stuff to go to $1 trillion. So yeah, Liberia is.
Oh yeah, Africa for sure.
Africa, anywhere in Africa is for sure.
Speaking about that, I actually read an article about Africa. We talked about Mexico being another hub outside of China. They also said Africa is one of it.
Africa. I don't have to go all the way over to China.
Yeah.
I can go to Africa. Africa is going to save time, and again, because it has so many resources.
Yep.
And just the land resources.
And the land.
They're not developing land.
It's a vast of land. Why do you think China going over there?
Exactly. They're trying to take it, but that's going. They having problems now, so that they going cease and desist that.
Cassandra, we're gonna have one whole class on Africa because it is
it's the motherland of resources.
It's the motherland of resources, and it's been like that. And like he said when he was in class in Liberia, when he was a little boy, he said he remembered people coming over from like the Peace Corps and this, that, and the third. He said there would never be no black people. And so people been knowing about the resources over there, but they've had these programs, these Peace Corps, these Christian programs. When they put people over there, doctorate them, and then oh my God, yeah, it could get big, man. But yeah, that's
Elon Musk from Africa, right?
Yes, from South Africa. And his folks is big in the emerald and the jewel game, and yeah, they colonize a lot of stuff too. But
again, you gotta think. You gotta use your mind. You gotta read different things, not just what comes on the news or Facebook or something. You gotta do your research, you know, because you're not gonna always find what we're talking about here. It's just not open, you know. Obviously, it's for a reason, you know. You choose the reason why you want to believe, but it's for a reason, you know. That's why we're trying to open people's mind. So we're going to get into a little bit, wrap up the wholesaling piece.
Last week.
We're going to do a little something different. You know what, before, because I forgot. The giveaway last week, Brittany won the giveaway. She actually answered both questions. So she gets that $10 card as well as the book. And we'll get that out to you, Brittany. So this week, again, pay attention to what we're going to cover with the wholesaling. This week, we're going to do it on a screen share so you can follow a little easier than our board because, you know, it was a little hard to follow the board with lighting and all that. So I think this is going to be a little easier. So pay attention because we're going to have a drawing again, $10 Starbucks card and the book.
Also, make sure you guys go to our YouTube page. Subscribe to our YouTube page. We have a goal of 100 subscribers we're trying to get by the summertime. So really by Memorial Day if we can. So go ahead to our YouTube page and subscribe. That's it. Please. Thank you.
I hope everybody can see that. But yeah, I can see it just fine. So all right, we're gonna go. So what we covered this whole series of wholesaling. So we talked about the marketing. We talked about and I'm just gonna cover it generally, but you can go back to the videos on YouTube. Like we said, we want you to plug YouTube. Go back to YouTube or even back to Facebook, and you can find out if you missed the class or you're just coming on joining us. You can go back and get all the information over the last several weeks, several lives that we did. We covered this stuff. So we covered marketing already. We covered finding properties, and then we also covered building your buyers list or your buyers. But there it says finding groups, but it's actually finding your buyers, finding your investors. That's very important. And so at the bottom, you said you're building your buyers and your investors list. So those are some of the things we already covered. Again, marketing, finding properties. I'm sorry, I said finding groups. Finding properties, which is very important. As a real estate agent, you're only as good as the next property. I'm not an agent, I'm sorry, as an investor, you're only as good as the next property. So you always have to be on the look for properties. That's one of the most important parts, being a real estate investor. And then again, like we talked about, building your buyers list, your investors list. When you find those properties, who's going to buy it, right? So that's important. So we're going to get into the next slide here, which is going to be talking about the contracts. And first we're going to talk about contract between homeowners and wholesalers. So what does that mean? A contract between a homeowner and a wholesaler. You're basically your local real estate contract. Basically, talk about TREC, MREC is Maryland Real Estate Association Commission. So those are just a couple because I've used them. That's why I just threw those out there. Again, TREC, which is the Texas Real Estate Commission, and MREC, I guess you could say it that way, is the Maryland Real Estate Association. And again, those are some of the popular ones that I use. So you want to go there because they're already done legally for that state. And again, you find whatever one of your states, just real estate commissions, you Google that, and it's going to tell you where your commission is in your state, what the website is. You can go to the website and pull a contract for a residential 1 to 4 unit residential contract. And that's what you want to use when you're contacting the homeowner. What is a homeowner? Again, I'll break that down briefly. Homeowner is a person you're going to that's losing their house, or it's in probate. Whoever owns the property now, either paying the mortgage or not paying the mortgage, the house is left to them. That's who you want to negotiate your deals with. So that way you can, bring it a little closer for me. Okay, thanks, Jay. So your homeowner is one of the most important pieces in the whole thing, because if you don't locate the property and the homeowner, then how can you buy the property or, wholesale the property to an investor? So just remember that homeowner is very important. So again, you can find your contracts there. So once you locate the property and the homeowner, then you go into contract. That's when your negotiating starts. So you negotiate with them. Maybe the house is worth, 150. They owe 80. You can get it for 85, right? And that's kind of how you want to negotiate. You always want to negotiate. Again, a real estate investor is always looking for at least 70%. So you want to negotiate enough money in that contract so that you can make your money. Whatever target you want to do, 5,000, 10,000, whatever that is, and then you also have enough left inside for the investor to make their money. So when all that's done in the contract, and if you go look at one, if you just go to any one here on what we have, the Texas one, you go and look at the contract. It tells you the property name, how much you're buying the property for. It has all the legal jargon on there, as is, all that kind of stuff. So you just fill that out. It's very simple. If you don't know how to fill it out, contact one of us. We can help you. You can contact a real estate agent. They can help you. If you know a real estate agent, get them to help you. But it's pretty self-explanatory outside of a couple of legal things. And then at the bottom here, you says, always want to make sure you give as much time as possible for yourself on that contract. So what does that mean? If you ever bought a house before, you go and buy the house, you say, all right, we're going to close in 30 days. And that's usually so the mortgage company, the lender, can get all their paperwork, the title people can get all their paperwork together. So they give themselves 30 days. Here, if you can give yourself 30 days or even more, that's what you want to do. Because why? You want to have that time to go ahead and farm out your contract to the investors, right? But sometimes that's not always the case. Somebody could be losing their house next week, and they just called you, or you just got in contact with them, the week before. So you may only have 2 weeks, but as much time as possible, that's the date you want to have on that contract. You can always extend that date, but it's better in the beginning to get your time on that contract. So if the person's losing their house on May 15th, and you sign a contract with them May 1st, so you want to give yourself, we're going to close on May 15th, right? So you sign a contract with them May 1st, closing date is May 15th. And you'll see that on the contract. It's going to say, what day are you guys going to close? And that's what you want to do, the May 15th. As much time as you can. If it's May 30th, fine. Like I said, the more time you can, the better. We're going to go down a little bit. Okay, we have a question? Okay.
Get a better contract.
Yeah, you can get one with an attorney, but the thing about attorney is you have to pay for it. Now, if you're already in that, you have the resources and the finance to have a attorney write one up for you, and you pay them, great. But we're talking about here, you can get one for free, and it's already done legally because the state is going to have the best lawyers that are on top of it, right? Not just your lawyer, one lawyer. They have the best lawyers that deal in real estate that have written this contract for you, so it's already legal. So you don't have to pay for it. Why would you? That wouldn't make sense for you to go and get an attorney to write your contract up, right? Because you can just use theirs, which attorney was already approved in the state itself.
That's to Mrs. Mack. Sorry, what you said to Mrs. Mack.
Yes, I'm sorry. That was for Mrs. Mack's question. Hopefully that followed you. If it wasn't clear, let us know. I'll explain that a little more. But what she was asking, just so everybody knows, is can I just get an attorney to write up a contract for me? And yes, you can. Technically, a real estate attorney can write that contract for you. But what I'm saying is that you can get one for free on the whatever your local real estate commission is, because lawyers have already approved that. The state has already approved that contract. That way you save yourself, some legal issues that will come up, maybe arise later if you're using that. Or like Mrs. Mack said, you can go and hire an attorney to do the same thing. All right, so now we're going on to the contract between the wholesaler. So let me plug this real quick. We have Damani Nkosi on the line. He's our wholesaling expert. He's going to plug his information in. If you want to be like this, your thing, you want to do wholesaling. Right here, I'm going to cover so much in this amount of time, right? Like just the basics, the general to get you started. But if you really I want to go full all in and wholesaling, reach out to Damani. He's going to put his information there, and he teaches people. His fees are a lot smaller than most people that teach wholesaling, and he'll take you step by step, contracts, everything step by step. So there'll be no. It's like anybody can follow it. You won't have to worry about, what about this? What about that? He can take you step by step. You can also reach out to us and DM us for questions. If you want to contract, things like that, we can send that stuff to you. But if you, like I said, if you're all in, you want to start a business today and you want to get 100%, and indoctrinated on how to do real wholesaling, then you can contact him directly. So also on here, now we're talking about contract between wholesaler and your buyer or your investor. So that's a different contract, right? We want to make sure you guys understand the difference between the two. You have a contract between the homeowner, the person that owns the home, and yourself, which is the wholesaler. And now the wholesaler has to have a contract between the buyer and investor. And it's usually called an assignment contract. And it's usually one page. Again, you can get an attorney to write that up for you. But we also have, we can send you one, DM us. We can send you a one-page contract. Reach out to Damani. He can give you a one-page assignment contract. Sometimes you can even Google it, one-page assignment contract. And all that is basically what's that doing. That's the contract between you as the wholesaler and the investor or the buyer, right? And what is that going to entail? It's going to say the date of the closing, purchase, closing, what they call, so I'll back that up. So the date of the closing, which is the purchase date. So the closing, what closing means is you're going to sit in front of a title company. You have the buyer, the wholesaler, and the investor there. And they're all signing their documents. And I'll get to that at the end as far as how that happens. But the title company takes care of all of that. So that's what they call a closing. So that's actually the day you purchase and you get paid. right? So, and what's important on that is, like I said, you have the date of the closing, you have the signature between the wholesaler and the buyer, the investor, and then also you have the agreed upon price between yourself and the investor, right? This has nothing to do with the homeowner. You already negotiated what you're going to get the house for from the homeowner. So now you take it, you tack on your 10,000, that you want to make, or 5,000, whatever that number is. Some areas 20,000. Again, but also you always want to make sure you're leaving enough money for the investor to make money. That's how you can get rid of your contract faster. If you're trying to be greedy and you want to get all the money for yourself, it's going to be hard for you to find an investor, because obviously they're in business to make money as well. And when I say investor, they want to flip it, they want to buy and hold it, or rent. They want to buy, fix, and flip. That's what I mean by an investor, just in case, some people didn't follow that. So once you get that signature, you get that agreed upon price, you tack on your amount. Say you're purchasing it from the homeowner for $100,000. You want to tack on 110 because you want to make 10, and that's the price that the investor is going to buy it from you for, 110. So if we go down to the next slide. All right, so now we have contract figured out. So once you have that contract figured out, then you take it to your title company. And if you see in parentheses as a part of your team, when you're in real estate, you want to have a team, agents, title companies, rehabbers, whatever. If you're in wholesaling, it's a little different, marketing. You may not have to have rehabbers on your team, although that may help you. Rehabbers, I mean construction people. That may help you come up with a great price, because when you're negotiating that price with the investor and yourself, there's also always a price that they have to put on for the repairs. So you want to make sure you kind of understand that a little bit, because if your numbers are way off and it costs them this much to repair it, again, there's still no money in that for them. And as you do it, you'll be able to see, all right, it's going to cost 20 or 30 to make the repairs so they can flip it or so they can rent it. As you walk through them more, if you have person that's in construction, family member or somebody outside, you have them come with you on a couple walk through. You can say, all right, the floor costs this, the drywall costs this, and you kind of get a general idea the more and more you do, right? And that's how you're going to figure out, all right, well, this is how much it's going to cost. This is what the ARV is, which we covered before, after repair value. And that's how the investor and yourself are going to determine the price that you sell it to them for, or what they buy it for. All right, so once you take it to the title company, again, you want to make a title company a part of your team, 1 or 2, 3, and you want to make them close, somebody that you like, that's easy for you to get to, that, you work well with together, and they don't charge a lot, because title companies, they set fees based on, what they do, and some fees are higher than others. So you want to find that middle person that provides a great service, but also doesn't charge you a whole lot of money. So get your contract, you take it to the title company. What the title company does is they do all the paperwork, right? So you don't have to worry about anything about that. All you have to do is worry about the contract, like we talked about, between the homeowner and yourself, the wholesaler and the investor. After that, the title company takes care of everything else. They take care of the title work. They take care of the money, how those are distributed. If you have down payment, sometimes, wholesalers want a $2,500 down deposit. That way, somebody doesn't hold their property up and run off with it, and then they miss out on a property because the investor wasn't really serious. And that's usually non-refundable. Just for my wholesalers, you want to have some $2,500. That's the goal. Some people charge $5,000. That's kind of ridiculous. So you want to get in that $2,500 range as a deposit. You take that to the actual title company as well. Some wholesalers like to keep it, but it's better to take it to the title company. That way, if there's issues later, and what that happens is that holds the property. That the title company holds that money, and then once the property is sold, once you get paid, they're going to give you that $2,500 towards the money that you already have. Like say, so if you get $10,000 was your price, they're going to give you 10,000 minus 20. I mean, whatever that up to that $10,000 is, but the $2,500 is already there that you have in your pocket automatically. If the contract falls through, you get that money. And that's why wholesalers like to get that, because sometimes investors, they can't find funding, something like that, and the deal falls through. You kind of want to work with your investors on that. But if they hold your property up, they already know ahead of time. That's why they're signing that assignment contract, that this $2,500 is non-refundable, right? And you may be able to get on another deal with them or something like that. But at that point, the $2,500 is yours. So once you do that, it's called closing. Investor takes the property, and the homeowner gets paid, and you get paid as well. Can we go to the next slide?
That's all we get.
Okay, we're missing a little part of it, so I'll go through it. So on that part, so you take it to the title company, you have a closing date. Usually, and I say this jokingly, your closing date is what is on the assignment contract. That's the date you're supposed to actually close the deal, and that usually never happens. Very rare does it happen. It's always going to be, the investor needs more time, the financing didn't go through, so that date usually always gets extended. And there's no problem. You can extend that date. You just got to let the home, again, that's why you want to have as much time as you can between that homeowner, so you don't have to go back to them and say, all right, we need a little more time. But if you do, it's not a big deal. You just go back to them and you say, all right, I need a few more, weeks or whatever to get the deal done. So, when you have that date on there, it's not set in stone. You like to close on that day because you want to get paid as soon as possible, but sometimes that doesn't happen, right? So if it doesn't happen, again, you just extend it. You go back to the homeowner and say, all right, I need a couple more days, a couple more weeks, and then you go to the title company, all right, we're going to change our closing date. So once all that's taken care of, all the title work is taken care of, the funding is in place, everything is in place, that's how you get paid. So like I said, everybody sits at a table. You have an investor, you have the homeowner, and you have the wholesaler, right? And because you have one contract, which is the homeowner contract and your contract, wholesaler and homeowner, and then you have the wholesaler contract and the investor contract. So the title company has all those contracts. So they understand in line by line or in contract by contract what money goes where, right? So the homeowner, if you bought it for $100,000, right, with the homeowner, you didn't buy it, but you assigned a contract with the homeowner for $100,000. Your investor's paying $110,000, right? And all the investor gets at the end of the day is the property. So the investor pays $110,000. So automatically the title company knows there's a $10,000 check for you as the wholesaler, and there's a $100,000 check minus, whatever the homeowner owned on the property. But just for simple math, let's say the $100,000 check for him. So again, the real estate investor gets the property, he gets the keys, the property's his now. The wholesaler gets their $10,000, the homeowner gets their $100,000. Bam, and everybody sits at a table and signs their documents that are required to sign for themselves. And then now the property is transferred over, deed and title, over to the investor. And homeowner and wholesaler get paid. And that's how you get your money. It's that simple. It may sound a little complicated because there's a lot of moving parts, but it's really not. Once you do one or two, it's a piece of cake, right? Because, like I said, you're only doing a contract there between the homeowner, contract with the wholesaler, which is only one page. Title company is taking care of the rest. Right, and as you get better with the contracts and the negotiating part, that's really the more important part. How to negotiate, and we'll get and when we talk about the flipping part, we'll touch bases on that more. Which our next series is flipping, which is that's my focus. That's what I do more of than wholesaling. And that's why I said if you really want to get full into it, you want to reach out to Damani. But my thing is I'm focused on flipping. That's really what I do: buy, fix, and flip, or rent. So. That's pretty much as far as wholesaling. So now we want to open up for questions. Anybody have any questions on some of the stuff we covered now? Also, again, this will be on video. If you missed anything, you don't have to worry about writing it all down. You can watch the video on your own, pause it, stop it, restart it. And that's why we do it. That's why we record these as well.
Or go to our YouTube, because we will put the YouTube thing on there.
Sure. It's easier to watch on YouTube.
Yes.
It's easier to watch on YouTube.
And why are you to subscribe while you're there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell a friend to subscribe. We need a lot of subscribers, you guys.
Mm-hmm. All right, so were there any questions?
No. Not for now.
Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go into the question part of it. So we talked about our giveaway. So now we're gonna have two questions. All right, the first one is gonna be, what are the two agencies that we say you get a contract from? Two government agencies, local agencies that you can get a contract from. Two of them. You don't have to answer one out of the two. So we gave you two, just answer one, whichever one that is that you choose to answer. The second question is, what's the difference between, and this is going to be you got to think a little bit more on this one. What's the difference between the two contracts?
What's the two contracts?
I can't tell them the two contracts. No. So what's the difference between the two contracts?
I tried to help y'all, man. That's all. He caught it.
I'll make it a little simpler. Who are the two contracts between? What entities are they between? What parties are two contracts between? There's two contracts, and each one has different parties. So which parties are those contracts in between?
So what are they getting for actually answering this time?
So one, we're going to give for the first question, we'll give the $10 Starbucks card. And for the second question, we'll give you a book.
Oh.
Or actually, we can do this. Whoever answers first gets to choose.
Oh,
Whether you have a book or you want a Starbucks card.
yeah.
And then the second person, again, and then one person can get both, really. Actually, last week, Brittany got both. So you can get both.
Nobody answers.
Nobody answers. So, and if you don't answer it while we're on live, you can answer it after on Facebook. DM us. You know, if you have our personal information, you can also reach out to us personally and answer the question. And again, first person that comes in, answer the questions. Those are the winners, and we'll announce them next week. And again, like I said, last week was Brittany.
I'm going to put our information here in the comment section where you can follow us all individually on Facebook or on Instagram. Okay?
Yeah, and remember to visit YouTube. You know, if you missed any episodes from previous weeks on this lesson, you know, just go back and just rewatch it. Even when it comes to this video, if you have any questions about it, just rewatch it on YouTube later. It's going to be there. So,
as those questions are coming in, if anybody has any questions, as people, you know, want to have questions answered, we're going to talk about. We talked about before, and we're going to touch on it briefly. And we're going to keep touching on it. We're going to have basically a crowd fund for everybody involved, whether you can be in the state, out of the state, whatever. And we're going to have a specific property that we buy, and we're all going to put in together, and we're going to flip that property, and we'll show you, you know, step by step through videos, obviously. Unless you're in the area, which some of us you already know, they walk through some of the properties that we already did that they invested in. And that's going to be a fire group thing. So we're just going to, you know, it's going to be a crowdfunding for fire group, and we're all going to purchase the property together, you know, and then based on what your investment is, you know, you're going to get that percentage back, and then your original investment on top of that. We'll get into more of that.
How much can they make off their investment?
We're around, you know, 20, 30%. You know, that's really what our target is, 20, 30%, which is great, you know. So obviously you see what we see is we want to offer good returns on your investment. And again, investments don't have to be that. We start at $2,500, and sometimes we make an exception, maybe a little lower if, you know, if somebody's really serious and we kind of know they're serious.
And what's the turnaround time?
Usually 4 to 6 months.
4 to 6 months.
4 to 6 months.
So
that's going to change. I say 4 to 6 months now, but as I see, I have properties that have been on the market for a minute, you know, because of the coronavirus.
Corona things, right? Yeah.
So, well, you know, we'll just stick to what we know for now until that changes.
So Brittany says she'll have that answer for us in a minute.
Okay.
She ain't playing no game.
Brittany gonna have free Starbucks for a year by the time it's all finished.
I'm gonna have to give me a little grande ice caramel macchiato from you, Brittany.
We meet up when she gets all coffees on me. Yeah. All right, so that's pretty much the end of our session unless we have any questions. One other thing that I didn't read that I should have mentioned in the beginning. So I read an article talking about the prices, and we all know if you're in Houston area, if you're in Maryland, D.C. area, the housing prices are increasing. They're still going up.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Amidst all of this, they're still going up. How long are they going to go up for? I think they're going to continue to go up.
Why? What's the
Big
logic
businesses,
behind
like
that?
you said,
So
are moving.
honestly, man, like we were talking last week, if Tesla moves here, these big companies move here, people are going to want out. The richest, alright, I was looking yesterday, the most affluent areas in New York, they're all moving out.
Yeah.
So where are they going to move to? Where is their space? Everybody's not like New York. I'm not sure if anywhere from the East Coast. In New York, you live in a 500-foot, you know, thing, and there's 5 people living there, right? If you think about it, these people are traumatized. They want to go out there and live somewhere that they can pay $2,000 a month for rent, but at the same time, you know, live in a humongous house. So why would you keep living down in New York when you can live remote or work remotely from home and live in Houston, Texas, where you know you have 1,500 square feet?
So you think y'all think they coming down here? That's what I'm
Yeah,
Yeah,
then anywhere, you know. But like, think about it. All right, everybody in this table, where you from, Gordon?
You going from these
we don't need to go.
You know, right. So everybody is from like the DC, DMV, Virginia area, you know. So think about it, guys. Like, we're all from there.
So
we all live in Houston.
even though doing this Corona thing, y'all still think it's going like because I did see that article and I didn't read it, but I did see it and I was thinking, okay, I was thinking this is gonna come down eventually, but you saying
It's going to
I can see it coming down. Like after everybody's up, and the market kind of flood. But my thing is, if the market floods with people losing their home, but you have people who are moving from other places and like buying these houses that are worth $200,000, oh, this is a discount.
Yeah.
2,000 square foot home. Oh, I pay $2,000 for a month for 500 square feet. You know, so like that's a bargain.
okay.
So it just really depends. Everybody working from home. Let's say you're working in New York.
Everybody
now
definitely
they're
working from home. I do believe that.
Go save money.
Twitter offered all their employees to work from home indefinitely.
Yeah.
So they all can just work from home now.
So if you're working in New York and you collect that same salary, you don't have to pay, you live more comfortable, you live a better lifestyle, you know, you're not on top of everybody, you're not in a bad mood because you don't wake up and your neighbors kept you up all night, you know? It's just lifestyle, same pay.
And Twitter does do, a lot of companies let me work from home. I remember one of my buddies who lived in California, he said he was going to go live in Brazil because he works from home. He's still getting paid California pay.
Yeah.
He only has to go there once a quarter, maybe twice a quarter. I can see those. I can see that being. I can see that happening. You're right, like you said.
I thought
Just
about
because of
Thailand.
yeah,
Like, you know, like Texas is cheap. I'm thinking, let me go live in Thailand for like a
I'm with
year.
you on that,
I'm gonna
bro.
save all the money in the world. I'm gonna pay $5,000 max on rent. You know, expect living is cheap, and then I'm gonna stack all the money.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that. If I didn't speak from New York, I think, you know.
That's true.
Exactly. So.
And it's mostly the wealthy that's actually, you know, in this predicament. So if you don't really have the money, you gotta think about it. This is a lot of people are unemployed. So a lot of people can't really move. So it's mostly,
But it's a lot of the bottom people that's frontliners. Though the ones that's unemployed, it's not those executives that's working from home. It's,
the wealthy. The wealthy are the ones that's usually moving. Like they have
they
option to
had the
move.
option to move.
They have the option. to move.
Yeah.
So if you're like stuck in this predicament, you don't really have but so much choices, you know, but stay to where you're at. You know, but the wealthy, they have options to move wherever they want. And then we're getting to a point now where travel is kind of like more expensive than it was in the first place.
Right.
Because now, you know, the demand is not really there, but it's going to start going up. Mm-hmm. But you can only, you know, put so many people on a plane.
Mm-hmm.
No.
So those are valid points.
And guys, remember, just because we say something now doesn't mean it's just an order. You asked me, you know, 6, 7, 8 months ago, I would have been like, oh, market's still like it's gonna tank and there's gonna hit, you know, at least drop 25%, 20%. But as things evolve, as you know, more things, you know, your bias are constantly gonna keep changing, and you know, you can run back and forth between the markets and go down, markets and go up. You keep going until one of them actually works out. So it's okay to change your bias. You know, it's okay to kind of like change your idea. Going back to Amazon, why are they doing so good? Because they were able to adapt. We got to adapt.
But I do realize, I do feel like this is I read somewhere they said this is a different type of recession. They said a lot of millennials, we're feeling like, oh, this is going to be our time to come up on the houses, again. They were saying this is a different type of recession. See, that last recession was due to the housing market. Mm-hmm. The housing market is what crashed the recession. This is something totally different.
Right.
And I do remember seeing that in that article. So that does, I could see that.
They just pumped $2.2 trillion into the market.
Man, you
so
feel me?
if Uncle, let's say hypothetically speaking, if I had a rich relative that came and gave me $1 million, you think that's not going to give me a little more pep in my step? You know what I'm saying? You think that's not going to make me feel like I have a little more buying power? And guess what? I can now pay off all my debts. Especially consolidate everything and not have to worry about it.
And then it just means taking out a demographic of the older people.
Yeah.
They're going to have to pass down a lot of money.
Yeah. Social
insurance.
Gone now.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying if a lot of who are they giving their money and their wealth to?
Yeah, kids, grandkids,
So this is supposedly taken out of that demographic. So I can see why I'm just trying to figure out why the housing market isn't going to go down, and I'm just thinking of a lot of aspects to why it wouldn't.
In some areas it will.
At least not right now.
In some areas it will.
I think it might take a little time.
And then right now, people not even banks, not even foreclosure. You got a lot of lenders that's giving people for months,
extending mortgages. So I mean,
you
can't expect the market to like drop automatically because they're giving all these people this leeway.
But they're just kicking the can.
Right. So but when it does end, I mean, it's going to be a dramatic drop, and I feel like the property value of houses are going to go down because people will start selling their properties for what they can sell it for. They're going to try to get out.
Because I got a lot of buyers. The thing is, if you want to have a lot of buyers,
right,
demand.
That's the thing in demand. But here's what I'm thinking: for people who may be in like student loan situations, and the government, I feel like is going to have to tweak certain things to encourage buyers. You see what I'm saying? You have a lot of people who want to buy, who can buy, but because there's so much red tape and regulations, you got to have 2-year tax returns. You can't switch job industries. You got to have this. Mm-hmm. That discourages a lot of people. So I feel like once it does tank, the government is going to have to do more tweaking to encourage buyers, to make it easier.
And that could lead to another market crash.
That's what I'm saying. So this is just, we're going to log off here, but this is just things for you guys to just think about.
Next week, So we're starting actually next week we're going to do, because it's a holiday weekend, we're going to just do like the best of wholesaling, some best videos. You can get on next week and look at some of the videos, some of the different things we're going to be talking about. We're going to basically take a break for Sunday next week because it's a holiday. Most people are going to be out. Everything going to be open up. Nice
pools.
That's right, the pools. When we come back, we're going to have a guest that he's actually from Houston, real estate agent, Roosevelt Mucker, and he's been in this industry forever. He owns a brokerage, He's my broker. Yeah, we work with him. So we're going to bring him on, talk about some of the markets, what he sees and things like that. And then we're going to get into our flipping series. It's going to be 4 to 6 weeks, depending on how much I can cover, how fast. We might even extend our time a little longer. We try to keep people's attention. An hour is hard for some people to keep attention. Everybody got things to do. But, we'll see. We'll try to keep it within an hour, but if we have to go a little over, we'll get the feedback from you all, how you guys feel about it. So, again, next week we'll be off a little bit, but you can go and watch some of our videos. Again, subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, all those platforms. Has Brittany answered the question yet?
Nobody has answered the question.
All right, Brittany, we're waiting on you. You said you're going to answer it. Whoever else going to answer it.
We're going to leave y'all with that and meaningful conversations.
Continue that. We have a meaningful conversation this week.
Read, increase your knowledge. And that's the best investment. If you don't have any money, keep reading, keep increasing your knowledge, your understanding.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
If you don't got money to read the books, we can send you some books. Just saying.
Hey.
You can win a book.
Just pay attention.